Hello once again to Let's Talk Money with Mark and Carrie Provenzano. They are the co-founders of Hedged Private Wealth. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. You know, it is great, Mark. We've got this dynamic centerpiece between us today. Carrie, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. Good to see you. Welcome to New Orleans.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's about time.
Trying to keep myself out of trouble. That's very difficult down here. Mark, how are you doing this week?
Doing fine, sir. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Well, we have a great show that we've put together here today. You know, one of the main tools that most people out here in the United States use for their retirement savings is, of course, a 401k plan, your work-provided plan. Pension plans are much harder to find today, so what I want to talk about with Mark and Carrie is, are folks out there that are coming into their offices using their 401ks properly? How can we maximize them? Maybe some pitfalls and some speed bumps we should look out for inside our 401ks, and more importantly, what do we do when we stop working with these 401ks, leaving them at our work, taking them on ourselves, having someone else manage them? All these questions and more. Are you guys ready to kick off the 401k show?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Well, you know what, Mark? I believe in a former life you were also a CPA or a recovering one, at least at that.
Exactly.
Where exactly does the 401k come from?
401k comes from the Revenue Act of '78. That was passed. And realistically, Spike, it was passed for the higher income earners. Okay, but however, the companies realized that it worked so well, pushing the burden off of what? The pensions, because that's what all of our mothers,
Right.
fathers, and grandfathers had, right? You finish up work, you get your pension, you have a set amount of money till what? Till the end, right? Well, they switched from that in '78, and now we have the 401k born, which, guess what? In one sense, no matter how you look at it, it has pushed the burden off of whom?
It's taken the burden off of companies
Yes.
to provide for us, the employee,
Yes.
and now they said, hey, here's this carrot. You don't have to pay taxes on that money this year, right? You can push that off till much later, right? And that way you can keep more in your pocket.
It sounds like a good deal, doesn't
Yeah, there's the incentive right there. It sounds good. But Carrie, what is waiting down the road, though, on those 401ks?
Potentially a tax time bomb. So people need to be very well aware of that, because there's 71 million baby boomers right now that are quickly approaching, you know, that threshold, and that's top of the mind right now. And so, yeah, you're basically in business with Uncle Sam, you know.
Yeah, you've got this.
And guess who's in line first with his hand out? It's not you. So yeah, people need to be aware of that tax train that's coming, and it's not coming to pick up people. You know, it's coming for your money.
It's coming for your money.
So, you know, there are some strategies that people need to be aware of, and what can they do? I mean, it's a great tool, mind you, because it forces people to save, you know, regardless of if it's a 401, 403B, TSP, whatever it is that your company, or if you're part of the government, whatever tool that is, it's a great tool because it forces people to actually save. And sometimes at the end, you know, when you're approaching this red zone, right, you have this bag of money. Now what do we do with it? How do we protect it? But you've been basically a DIYer, you know, up until now.
Yeah. And so, as we know, though, as you were just saying, there's a 457, there's the TSP if you're a government employee, and there's all these different kinds of 401ks. Are they all equal? Are they all the same? I mean, we see all different kinds, and of course, all different kinds of companies here in Louisiana. How do you think people are doing? Are they using this tool properly? What do you see? I mean, you see people coming in your offices every single day.
Well, Spike, you know, from a fiduciary's recommendation, first and foremost, and this can be very broad across the board, is that yes, if you are offered a 401k, absolutely take it. And we like to tell everyone, at least you participate up to the match, right? They're going to give you 6%. Match it.
That's
Put it
free
in
money. That's free 6%.
Thank
You'd be
you.
literally leaving
Thank
it on
you.
the table.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And, you know,
Your boss comes up and says, you want this $500? Like literally if it was a
Exactly.
cash, you say, no, I don't
That's
want
part
that.
of your salary.
You've got to do it at least up to the match.
Exactly.
You're leaving free money on the table.
Exactly. And, you know, one of the things like Kerry was mentioning is, you know, just to bring light to it is, you know, yes, unfortunately, we get the tax deferral. That's what we want, right? We get all of that. However, we must never forget, folks, that the 401k, your general partner is the IRS.
Right.
The limited partner
And-
is us.
And we're going to talk about a strategy a
Yes.
little bit later in the show. How do we buy out that partner maybe right now
Good point.
and pay that tax piper?
Good point.
But to ask you that you've got folks who come in with their statements, companies all around here, TSP and so forth. How do you feel about the fund options that are being offered from companies around here? Are the 401ks themselves designed? Are they doing pretty good? Are they limited? Does it depend on where you're working at? I mean, because it's not fair that everybody's got different tools out there. Everybody's got a different size hammer to help them finish this job, and I just don't know if they're all being created equal.
You know, Spike, good point, because they are not all equal. And what we do find with our folks coming in is that we sometimes will see the portfolio options may either be skinny or robust. So yes, but you know, I'm glad you said that, but one of the biggest points that what we hear, okay, is that there's always no one there to help them. It's they're
Well,
really
you
on
got
their
a
own.
lot.
We
Right.
hear this. This is not our opinion. We hear this.
My daughter's 24 years old. She started her first job at a big firm down in New Orleans. And, you know, she got her packet and they're like, go online, pick what you want, you know, and, you know, so she has this packet to pick from, and it's, I don't know, probably 8 to 10 pages of fine print.
Yeah.
But basically it boils down to check this box if you fit, you know, if you're conservative, if you're moderate or what have you. And I mean, for her age, let's face it, she has time to recover. She probably couldn't make a mistake in whatever one she goes to. But yeah, it's really kind of dumbed down or narrowed down, that people don't have a whole lot of choices. So, you know, it becomes critical as you move through the stages of life and get closer, like we said, to that retirement zone, that you're looking at that. A lot of times people set it and forget it, and they don't even look at the statements.
Absolutely.
a lot.
I care. And what you're talking about, even with your daughter there, that happens in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s,
Absolutely.
your 60s. You're like, here you go.
Exactly.
Because the 401k provider doesn't want to be responsible,
No.
saying, well, you told me to invest this way and I can't retire. They won't take on the responsibility. Your employer doesn't take on the responsibility. Every now and then that provider might throw you a class, or they'll have some videos for you online, but you're pretty much on your own
Yes.
with this version of tool. We're going to have to take a very quick break. We'll be right back. Folks, if you would like to get a complimentary review of how you're invested, they can actually take a look at your retirement accounts, see if it's appropriately matched to your risk tolerance, what you're doing. Actually take a look at the fees, not like you have a lot of control with your retirement account, but at least let you know what you might be able to do to overcome those fees. But most importantly, make sure it's in an alignment for you. That way you're not guessing. And if you picked your funds years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years, and you haven't changed your allocations, talk with a financial advisor who can help you do that. Call Mark and Carrie Provenzano right here. You can get your own complimentary review of your portfolios. 888-339-2048. When we come back, one of my pet peeves, target date funds. Are people using them properly? Right after this.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Money with Mark and Carrie Provenzano. They are the co-founders of Hedged Private Wealth right here in Louisiana. They want to be able to help you with your financial planning needs. This isn't one of those big, huge national firms that just puts you in a call center as a number. They want to help you. They know the folks here right in this area, and they want to help you with your retirement planning strategies. Carrie, I wanted to ask you, since I know that, so you are licensed as well,
Yes.
just as Mark is. Both
I
of
am.
you serve in the same capacity. This is your house, and you see folks just as frequently. When people are coming in, I think what was bothering me about the previous segment, you're saying, your daughter starting at 24, not getting really the kind of advice or guidance they need. What about beyond that age?
Absolutely. Not long ago, we had a teacher that came in. He was 63, 64 years old, and he said the same thing. When we analyzed, his holdings, he was like, "No one's ever done this for me before. I've been working at the school."
64? And nobody's ever helped him out with his retirement plan?
I've got more stories. We have like a head over at the VA hospital. Same scenario. She said no one ever comes in and talks to us about this stuff. Of course, to actually get in there, you need an act of Congress to actually get in there to probably put on any type of educational information, and we kind of talked to her about that. But a lot of people are missing a lot of information, which is why we feel so passionate about what we do.
I'm familiar though with the federal space
Yeah.
as well. So part of the problem is the human resources departments. You go back a couple of decades ago, there was somebody in human resources in your building, and then it became there was a building
Yes.
in your state,
Yes.
and now it's regional. There's
Yes.
somebody on a phone 5 states away. And they're supposed to do pre-retirement classes, but those have become fewer and fewer in between. So where does
There
somebody
aren't
who's
any.
a
There aren't any.
federal employee go? You can look at videos and so forth online.
Exactly.
And that's the problem, is that this tool you've been given a chainsaw without any instructions. You go, here you go, and this is for your retirement. We hope that you use
Absolutely.
it well. So.
Absolutely.
What are some things that we can do to at least better educate ourselves about the proper use of 401ks? I know that they can come in and talk to you, but a lot of folks will say, well, that's my work provider over here. How do they get to a financial advisor when they've got their work week to worry about?
Well, Spike, we always tell them if they want to come see us, they schedule an appointment with us. Remember, it's just a friendly conversation to see where we can go. And there's many, many, many of clients now that we helped out previously that were not clients, and we helped them manage their portfolios or allocations year to year. We never charged them. We just worked with them. We saw how we worked together. But you schedule a time to come to our office, visit with us. We ask you to bring in your statement that you are questioning, and we'll go through it with you. We have all the power to run the reports. We can do all of that for you. We can break it down for you. But that's the first step, is to come see us with your statement, even if you're currently working, and we'll show you what you have, and we'll also explain the other options inside of your own portfolio. It's not ours, it's yours right now. So we'll explain what you have and maybe where we should adjust and wiggle just a little bit on the next upcoming selection.
It was interesting, Carrie, you were talking about 64-year-old. I'm going to go to a very specific age, 59 and a half.
Absolutely.
59 and a half is a magic number for folks out there. And 64, hey, no matter what age you are, it's not too late. We want to make sure you get the retirement advice you need. But 59 and a half, there's something called the in-service rollover. Can one of you explain what that is?
Absolutely. And to add on to that, we had given a educational seminar some years ago, and we have people all the time that come in and they come in at 55, or they just kind of want to get a running start. So those aren't clients right away. Some of them aren't clients right away. They still have their 401k, they're still working, but by giving that plan, that sort of yellow brick road on where to go, it gives them a path to run on, and then eventually they do become clients of ours. But at 59 and a half, there is some magic that happens because people's options open up. So they are able to roll out. And for this individual, the 55-year-old who then became 59 and a half, she did become a client of ours. She was in the VA hospital, and we were able to do that for her. But prior to that, we were able to help her make some allocation changes in her choices that she had made.
Yeah.
And she was so happy that she did that because she was able to, kind of secure, not be so risky where she was before. But yeah, so people need to know that. And a lot of times people think, oh, well, I'm still working. There's nothing that I can do, or, I'm kind of stuck with what I have. But at 59 and a half, you really need to pay attention to that because those options are available to you. And if you can secure that bag of money, it becomes critical.
Right, and these are also the kinds of pieces of advice and help that you give people at Hedged
Yes.
Private Wealth,
Yes.
right? So we're not just broadcasters here. The firm is Hedged Private Wealth. The show is Let's Talk Money. And Mark and Carrie Provenzano are the co-founders of the firm, and they want to help you with these retirement planning strategies. So we're going to continue to talk right now about folks who are in service, meaning still working, and when we get back, we're also going to talk about what do you do with that afterwards. But couple of words of warning about this in-service, Mark, I just want to ask. We're not rolling this money out and putting it in our personal accounts.
Correct.
Where does this money get rolled out to, Mark?
If they do decide, the client decides, they listen to us and we roll it out, it's rolled out into another tax favorable account that is regarded by the IRS just what they have now. So there's not going to be taxes imposed on it immediately, unless, like you and I have discussed on other segments, maybe when we do roll it, maybe we start a conversion, and we'll talk about that, right?
Okay,
And maybe
yeah.
the time to do some converting,
Right.
as well.
And then the advantage of taking it out is that now you have the whole world of investments at your fingertips.
Absolutely. Everything has just grown exponentially of what we can do. I assure you the fees will be curtailed. And just with those two things, the fees, how volatile do we want to really make this portfolio run? That's all at our discretion. Whereas before, we were limited.
Mark, we're going to have to take a very short break. Can you tell folks out there exactly what a complimentary review means for those who call out the phone number here?
Sure. When you come see us, it all starts with a conversation. From the conversation, we will go ahead and generate mainly about 4 reports for you. We like to look at your portfolio, and we'll tell you the risk. We'll tell you the fees that your portfolio is being hit with that are very, very hard to decipher. Then we'll give you also diversification. How well diversified are you? You may not be what you think you really are. And fourth, and we like to say most important, how do we develop an income plan for you that works for you specifically? Fixed, variable expenses, we put it together, we look at it, then we build from there. But the most important is having a plan.
Mark, Carrie, we're going to be right back after this. Folks, I know I skipped it. I'm going to get to those target date funds right after this. More Let's Talk Money with Mark and Carrie Provenzano, the co-founders of Hedged Private Wealth, when we get back right after this.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Money with Mark and Carrie Provenzano of Hedged Private Wealth. We have so much we have to finish up here because we're talking about the 401k plans. Are people using them properly or not? First, right off the bat, target date funds. Are people using these properly? What exactly is the target date fund?
They're created very geniusly because they do set a date for when you're projected to retire. Now, does it fill the bill? Does it do the trick? Not all the time. not
Yeah,
all the time.
it's kind of an easy button, right? So you pick
It
the
is.
year you're supposed to.
Yes.
So we could go from your daughter to a 50-year-old. If you're in your 20s, you're supposed to pick something 30, 35 years down the road.
Exactly.
And eventually it's supposed to glide down.
Correct.
But do you pick the year that you're going to retire? Because maybe you're not going to use those funds for another 5 or 10 or so maybe you're supposed to pick 5 years or 10 years beyond. You know what I've also seen? I've seen people use 2 or 3 target date funds inside. It's like, wait a minute, no, you're supposed to pick one of them. So I'm just worried about having these tools in our own hands. There's another point that I know that Carrie wanted to bring up. There's something that you fill out at the very beginning, the first day, and that's those beneficiary designations. Do you see any mistakes with that?
A lot. There's a case out there called the Kennedy case that you can actually Google and see the lawsuit that occurred for Mr. William Kennedy, who worked at DuPont. He worked there 34 years, and he and his wife divorced. He had close to $500,000 in his 401k. Wife signed off saying that she relinquished all rights and to his retirement account. I think even he went further and put a trust document out there that said, my ex-wife is not to get another red cent of mine. It's all to go to his daughter, Carrie Kennedy, which is why I remember her so well. Poor thing, because it gives me chills every time I tell the story. So when her father passed away in 2001, she went down to DuPont to collect her father's, $500,000. And found out that the money did go to his ex-wife.
Even with the trust,
Even with the
by
trust.
her signing off the rights, even by having a will and all of those measures.
This went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the document at the employer trumped all other documents. So if you get a divorce, have a change in life, this is one of the first things that need to happen. And unfortunately, a lot of times we get caught up in life. We're not looking at those statements. We forget about that kind of stuff. But here's a case that just glaringly comes out in my mind, and it happens every single day. People are divorcing every single day, so they need to be checking those things. And if you leave your employer, you've taken your cactus, you've taken your cup of pencils, please take your 401k. Please don't leave your funds
come on,
there.
isn't that one of the most common things? We're in a
It
hurry to
is.
move
It
on
really
to somewhere
is.
else, and you leave it behind. And what's the problem? The company can be sold. They can change the
Yeah.
401k
Oh my
provider.
gosh,
you
yes.
can move. I'm not necessarily saying you're going to lose where the money is. There are ways
Right.
to track that down, but you're no longer in control
Yes.
of it, and you have no idea who's managing it for you.
Right.
So is that kind of a, get settled, move to your first job, and then, within the first few days, move that stuff over.
Absolutely.
Is
It's
this
on, it's
something
on my
that you
checklist.
can help people with and just helping with these rollover? Because I think people they get nervous. I've been working somewhere 10 years,
Exactly.
I have $500,000 or more, and just say, I don't want to, I'm going to just leave it right there. At least I see my statements.
Spike, those two things can be solved with a signature. So, it's one piece of paper and one signature. But people aren't thinking about those things. When you're out there with the big box firms, no one's looking over that type of stuff for you. If you're with some of the big box firms, you might be doing everything online, or try and make a phone call and get someone on the phone. And if you're lucky in this country, So,
Yeah,
like I
that
said,
is-
a
lot of on hold
It's
lately.
on our checklist. It's a question that we ask often, and you'd be so surprised at how many times it's like, oops, daisy. Well, thank goodness you're still alive to
And
do
there's,
it.
generally speaking, no financial event that occurs from it, right? There's no
No.
loss, there's no huge taxation or anything like that.
No.
You're moving it from one tax-protected account, meaning your 401k, either into a Roth, or maybe sometimes, if you do give it a little bit of time, you can move it into your new 401k provider, and you could take that lump sum and keep compounding on top of that. And you're saying sometimes as easy as a phone call?
As easy as a phone call and a stroke of a pen.
So beneficiary designations, probably. So the moral of the story in the beneficiary designations is don't get married.
Right.
No,
Don't get divorced.
that is
Don't get
not,
divorced.
don't get
poor
divorced.
thing.
No. Update your beneficiary. But
Yes.
it's not just on those, right? You look at everything from your life insurance policies, your annuities, making sure we update those things, because those things are pretty darn
Yes, they
ironclad,
are.
right?
Yes, they are.
So from there, with the 401ks, we've just got a few minutes to talk about this. When you leave work, Mark, do we also want to leave these large funds behind? Because I think some of the mentality is, look, my employer has done really well for me. I should just leave it there. When we're stepping into retirement, do we want to leave our 401k there?
Well, you know, I have a little story on that, and the viewers can make this decision. Very, very well-known Fortune 500 company. I won't mention it at this setting. And that was the same question from my client. Mark, what do I do with this? And you know, of course, we look at the charts, we look at the fundamentals, technicals, all that good stuff, right? What we do behind the scenes. And I said, well, you know, it's not looking good for the company. And she goes, I know, I've been losing money and losing money and losing money. And I said, we should roll it. Let's roll it over to us, and let's just sit back a minute or whatever. Saved her 50%. She would have incurred a 50% loss in a matter of 3 to 4 months on this Fortune 500 company. That, from the review, from the analysis that we do, showed this.
It also sounds to me like she must have had a lot of company stock as well. Was she
Good
heavily
point. Very good point.
So there's some people who say, look,
Very
you
good
should,
point.
if you work at Coca-Cola, invest in Pepsi. Don't put all of your money where you work. You might, this is one of those behavioral biases, and it's a familiarity bias.
Yes.
That you like it, oh, well, I work there, I know what's going on. Okay, but you should really be spreading out. Do you want to have a little bit of company pride? I totally understand that, the
Right.
percentage points. But don't put all your money where your work is, right? There's a time to use it, and there's a time to maybe spread that around. And one of the best ways to do it is to have somebody look at your accounts who has an objective point of it. You're kind of like financial doctors, right, Carrie?
Absolutely.
You have an objective look.
We
at
don't
somebody's-
have the affection that maybe they've grown for their company. Sometimes they love their companies, you know,
Rightfully so.
sometimes not, but yeah, they kind of get attached to some of those stocks, and we have to give them an outside opinion.
Right. Carrie, it's going to be hard for you to believe, but that's literally all the time we have for our show. Thank you
believe
so
it.
much for joining. Are you going to come back for another show? You're going to come back
Absolutely,
another week?
absolutely.
It's been a pleasure to have you here. You
been fun.
have to come
It's
back
been
with
fun.
us. Mark, very quickly though, tell folks what they will get in their complimentary review. We've got about half a minute left.
Okay. Yes, folks. When you come see us, we will look at your portfolio. We will tell you the risk inside of it. Any type of allocations where you are, diversification, how diversified are you, right? And most important, let's get you an income plan. Let's see exactly how is your hard-earned life savings. Where is this going to take you? Remember, it all starts with a plan.
Mark, Carrie, thank you so much for giving us all this information today. Make sure you tune in again next week for Let's Talk Money. More importantly, call that phone number you see on the screen to get your own complimentary retirement plan review.